And what is up, risk takers? Welcome to the Kill Pete strategy and welcome to Free Pete. What we're going to be doing today is we're going to be doing the Risk News Week in Review, Kill Pete strategy Discord Q&A. It's been a while since I've gotten a chance to do the Q&A. So first thing we're going to start with is we're going to be starting with a fixed caps game on Classic, which will allow me to take my mind off of the risk and focus on the questions. Looks like I'm playing as blue in the last position. So what we're doing with Free Pete, folks, I needed a space where I could really do anything and everything I want to do without worrying about ruining my algorithm. So the logic is, for better or worse, there is a subset of inside baseball people like you all who really enjoy the nitty gritty, right? The Waiting on Your Best Behavior podcast, the Kill Pete Strategy Discord Q&A, the Risk News Week in Review. You like these GeoGuessr or Daily Challenge videos, and I want to have a place where I can post them all without worrying about hosing my algorithm. So that is the solution. That's what Free Pete is. Free Pete is the space for that, and Kill Pete Strategy will be more tutorial style, educational style, and easily accessible style videos for the newer player. Okay, should put it in Aussie for the memes. I'm gonna put it in Ural. Because my goal for this game is to sit, take a single card, sit on cap and pass, and I will play to win, but I'll probably get second. That's how these stats usually go, and we'll see how it goes. All right, we got a question from Molly Ann. Molly Ann would like to know, what's your inspiration behind the name of the podcast, Waiting on Your Best Behavior? It's unique. I like it. I've heard this once or twice before. If you guys are familiar with the Tears for Fears song, Everybody Wants to Rule the World, which is a risk joke. The lyric is, waiting on your best behavior, turn your back on Mother Nature. Everybody wants to rule the world. It's as simple as that. And the first time I ever played in a tournament on the main server, I got to the finals, and I posted a piece of that. I sang a piece of that song as sort of the intro to my show. I was just in VC on the Discord streaming the game and recording it later for YouTube. This was even before I was on Twitch. And then, of course, years later, once I got monetized, I actually had to silence that section of my tournament video because it, it's a copyright violation. This is Pete's version of the Arco Strat. That's right. Okay, ladies and gentlemen. So what we are going to do, if you would like to get your questions answered, we have a priority Q&A channel on the Kill Pete Strategy Discord for server boosters and get your questions answered with priority. And then, of course, the regular Q&A thread will get answered in sequence. Okay, so where did we leave off? I think we got a bunch of questions from Waffles. Or did I ever get to Becky's question? Dear Peteman, I believe we've come to an impasse in our digital relationship. If you don't remember, I host Jackbox game nights on your server. I do remember. And I've only ever had you join maybe like 4 times. Oh, this is just Becky asking me to join. I like playing Jackbox with you guys. Mallory, on the other hand, has become a super dedicated player. Yes, Mallory is great. Even bought 2 of your shirt designs after playing TKO. She loved them so much. What the heck do I have to do? Get you to play with us sometime. The guilt is dripping. I would love to have you. The Chill Pete strategy. Okay. Thank you, Becky. I like to hang out on Jackbox. And if you guys like to hang out on Jackbox, Kill Pete Strategy Discord, it's this really cool tool that, not necessarily one thing, but we have a nice little community of people who like to play all sorts of games, Jackbox being one of them. I think the new hotness is this Hunger Games thing, but obviously talk to Becky with the good hair and she'll hook you up. All right, our next question is from Waffles. Waffles would like to know top Pete puns I wanted to see from your dream for games like this video that just dropped. I'm going to take them apart surgically, Pete by Pete. I like that a lot. You sure capitalize it on their inaction against you. I've used that before. Capitalized, yes. I'm going to make it easier for Purple to take Australia. Yeah, why not? Why not? I'll roll a 5-2. I'm going to lose the position anyways. Might as well get a card out of it. Not much of a competition. It's great to watch, but I wonder how many times you can risk Chad people. There's got to be a finite amount of people that performance can be repeated. Use that one as well. I don't have a question. Good job, Waffles. That reminds me, folks. I think we have a new staple Pete pun when referring to Mount Kilimanjaro, the highest point in Africa. Why not let a man live, Jaro? Okay, IB sniping. Hungry Games made a Discord. Yeah, it did. It has snowballed. Come on down to the KPS Discord. Wasn't Africa Cap a good cap for you? So, Kolyana, important to consider. The way I play these settings is I play for second. The goal of these settings is to give me a chance to sit and talk and spend almost no mental energy on the game. So the logic of this game is I'm going to sit, I'm going to take a card, I'm going to cap stack, and I'm going to sit and wait for these guys to eventually hit each other, which they will. And I might be able to snag a first place, and I will play for first place if I can, but it's more likely that they don't hit each other hard enough, and I find myself in a second place finish, which is totally fine by me because the goal of this game is not to win the game. The goal of this game is to talk to you. So our next question, also from Waffles. Hey, Pete. On the famous streamer themer question I asked on the other thread, you could pick 4 famous non-risk focused streamers to play an exhibition risk match against. Who would they be and what settings would you use for the match? Waffles, I'm sorry to tell you, you might be disappointed with this answer. I don't really consume video game television. So I don't know who famous streamers are. They aren't celebrities to me. I don't aspire to be them. I don't find them all that interesting. I'm much more interested in watching currently risk streamer shows because I want to improve my own show. And I want to support my friends who do stream. And also, I'm interested in anything that like works on games that I play specifically. So those are my thoughts about that. And sorry if it's a bummer, right? But I'm not actually I'm not in this culture like you guys are. I kind of got lucky and reversed engineered the video game television program from an audience perspective. I never like grew up with this. You guys have to remember, right? I grew up with like network television and sitcoms, and the idea of you guys sitting here watching someone like me play a game is still kind of foreign to an old man like me, but notwithstanding you like it, so obviously I'm going to keep doing it. So there you are, Waffles. I hope that answers your question. Probably not the way you expected me to, but I don't even know these people's names. I mean, good on them for being successful. Don't get me wrong. I'm not disparaging anybody. I think it's an absolutely incredible thing to be able to create this content, and they're very talented. I just don't know their names because I don't have time to watch their content. I did grow up in the 1800s, correct? Where do we ask questions? Come on down to the Kill Pete Strategy Discord! Discord. And there is a Q&A thread, and they will get answered in priority sequence. Right now, I'm just getting through the priority Q&A questions, which is a secret special thread for the server boosters. The last thing Waffles would like to know is, what is the most teeth-clenchingly rage-inducing moment you've ever had during a tournament? Was it the time someone agreed to give you first in the Discord chat and then reneged? Was I rage? So I'm not an angry person, Waffles. So my immediate reaction isn't usually rage. What things make me angry in a game? Yeah, lying sucks, don't get me wrong, but it's still a game. So there's a serious distinction people need to make between lying in the context of a game where you're trying to win a game, which in my opinion is simply a bad strategy, and lying in reality when, when that lie then reflects upon your character as a person. Two very different things. And I think in a tournament, you have to consider your opponents are playing to win, and we assume at least, they are playing to win, and we assume that the move that they're making seems like the best thing for them to be doing at the time. And I'm not the type of person who comes into those sorts of situations in judgment, right? I don't approach it with, I think I'm right and you should do things my way. I approach these games from, let's sit, let's examine the outcome, let's observe, and then let's conclude that the strategy was correct or incorrect based on the probability of that outcome leading to a victory. That's it. It's a lot of people walk around with the audacity to tell other people how they should think, what they should do. And I think people who might be new to my content don't necessarily realize that I have absolutely no interest in telling you what you should do in a game of Risk. All I talk about when I play is what I am thinking might work. And then we experiment and we iterate, and sometimes we win games and sometimes we lose games, but both are informative learning experiences. Did you watch UFC? Are you planning on making the trip to Vancouver? No, do not. My buddy works for the UFC though, so he travels a ton for them. I'm not really big on sports. But yeah, my buddy Neil works for the UFC. Good buddy. We grew up together. And he started out like really cool, kind of created his own little blogging niche. Kind of grew up with the UFC, and then they eventually hired him, which I'm sure was an epic moment in his story. Is Black doing my strat? He might be. Arkin says, different people have different victory conditions. Some will win at any cost. Others have boundaries they won't cross. Absolutely. Right. And that's the whole playing to win concept that I was talking about the other day, right? Some people redefine their win, right? Whereas, take a game of Classic Fix for an example, right? Sometimes, if you get broken too many times, me killing that one guy who's been pissing me off is the win. I will sacrifice my entire game to make sure that guy dies. And you know what? I'm not here to say anyone is right or wrong, but we look at the rules of the game for what they are, and we say, dudes. We say, did it win? If yes, then correct. And if no, maybe we have to redefine what our win is. But we're feeling all right now. We're sitting on a cap. And now the stalemate begins. Farm my wood. I sure will. The kilted set. Indeed, the kilted set. All right, I'm going to throw down some push-ups from Jimmy J. And, a lifter and a stretcher for Jimmy J. And then we will continue with the questions. Folks, if you're just sitting in your seat, you're playing a game, you're hanging out with me, you're watching a show, why not move a little bit, stretch your body. Remember to move and take care of yourself. You got to live with yourself for a long time. You might as well be as healthy as you can be, and that's the message I am trying to get behind with my show. Because how I'm a guy sitting in a chair. I might as well remember to take care of myself. The philosophy of my show, folks, is a holistic one, right? I'm a man making video game television for you. I think I owe it to myself to show the requisite amount of care and love to myself so that I'm happiest and healthiest and can continue to do the best possible job in making this show and living a long time, making the show for a long time, and being a happy guy. The vibe must be good. Here we are. I'm having a good time. Our next question. is from... Oh, it's been a while since I've done one. Okay. Next question is from Tunin. Ooh, I'm real behind. Okay. Tunin would like to know, hey, Pete, any thoughts on or worries about the U.S. shifting its policy from globalization to deglobalization? FYI, thank you for the definition. Deglobalization is the process of diminishing interdependence and integration between certain units around the world, typically nation states. It is widely used to describe periods in history when economic trade and investment between countries decline. It stands in contrast to globalization, in which units become increasingly integrated over time, and generally spans the time periods between globalization. While globalization and deglobalization are antitheses, they are not mirror images. Cool question, tune in. So, here's what I think about this. I think, you want me to sing some Michael? Ooh, I'll sing some Michael for you. I'll do a shit job, but I'll try. I'll try polydramas. That's awesome. Here comes the politics. You love it. Escape, you love the politics. I think that the trend towards globalization is inevitable in the sense that we live in a world with finite resources. So control of those resources and then subsequent equitable distribution of that, which humans are particularly atrocious at, is essential for understanding, taking stock of the sum total of resources, and then figuring out how to effectively distribute that for the benefit of all humankind, I think is an essential and inevitable consequence of our technology. Eastside now says the better technology gets, the smaller the world will get as well. I think we tend to agree. Globalization, also the spread of ideas and cultures? Sure. It's not a Discord Q&A without politics. Hey, listen, guys. Ooh, we got a suicide from Black. Do I take that opportunity? Yeah, I'll take a second free cap. Black suicides and quits. I don't think he was doing my strat. I think he was suiciding and quitting, and I think this will benefit my game long term, because now I just get 2 caps for free. Lovely. Okay. Think about politics, right? I self-identify as apolitical. I'm a structuralist, so I like to focus on the design of systems and then the outcomes that those systems and the design of those systems cause. Probably should have killed Black first cards too. Anyways. Yeah, actually, why not kill Black for 3 cards? Because I'm not paying attention to the game. And I should have been. Emmanuel Gurr, thank you for the prime sub. Thank you. Now, the thing about politics is I am a big free speech guy, okay? So there's a lot of places where it is inappropriate to talk about complex ideas, right? I think of myself as a student of philosophy, ultimately. So politics is a sub-problem relative to philosophical problems, but they are instantiated in reality. Does yellow slam the 16? He's going in, I think. Yellow slams the 16. And then he won't have a lot of material, and I'll get a 3rd cap. Oh, baby, lose big. Yeah, he won't have a lot of material to split off. Let's see how much he saves up on that upper cap. I think red gets it, though, before me. Okay. Anyways, the thing about... I often win without even trying. The thing about politics is we are encouraged to be hyperpolarized because that makes us these neat production and consumption engines that are fighting amongst themselves over the sub-problem rather than discussing design or redesign of the system, because you can't discuss redesign of the system because the status quo is the thing that those who are in control of the system want to prioritize. So, do I get to steal this? No. Green's going to take it. Please don't let me steal a 3rd capital. Green's going to roll through an 8 stack of red to do it. If I get a 3rd capital, I'm laughing. Absolutely laughing. I hate how polarized everything is. We are so much more alike than different. That is my message, East Side. Okay? If if I have a platform to stand on, if I've been blessed with the ability to speak to you guys over this magic of the internet, over this magic of YouTube, then one of the things I am absolutely, extremely crazy passionate about promulgating in terms of a message is that we are all far more alike than we are different, and we need to love each other and treat each other with respect, love and respect, desperately. We are all the same. We are all one humanity, right? These artificial divisions between people where we design machines to harm and kill each other is only harming and killing ourselves, and it's horrible. So ultimately, right, that ties back to the question. I do believe that the conclusion of this logic is a globalized world that I hope is under the banner of the decent minimum quality of life for all. But I know how difficult that is to enact in reality because we are absolutely piss poor at equitable distribution, aren't we? Okay. Next question is from your boy. Hi, Pete. How do you deal with players making bad moves at your expense? I find in about half of the games I play as an intermediate/expert, my bonus always get broken and my stacks attacked, leaving both me and my attacker in bad positions. The others in strong ones. I'm not aggressive in any way to these players, but I find it extremely frustrating when players just refuse to attack the strong positions and let them win. Okay. It's a great question. It's a risk strategy question. We hear it a ton. Why do I keep getting slammed into? Some variety. Why do I keep getting suicided into? Some variety of this question. Okay, folks. Think about it this way. And this is almost a verbatim quote from Mr. Slynn, so I'm not pretending this is my idea, but the way Slynn put it I loved was, most people don't do things randomly. So when you get attacked in a way that you feel is unjust, it's incumbent upon you to figure out why that occurred, because it's there's probably a reason. There's not certainly a reason. There's probably a reason. And if you can figure out what that reason is, if you can see the underlying pattern behind why the things continue to happen to you that you do not want to happen in game, then you have the chance of controlling it. And that will level up your game. I have a video called Why Do People Keep Slamming Into Me? I'll post the link in my Twitch chat now. Maybe if I remember, I'll post the link in the YouTube comments as well. Why do people keep slamming into me? Fixed Friday. Okay. So this video talks about this concept. But just to reiterate, folks, I really don't think in general, looking at yourself as being victimized in the game is a particularly useful strategy or thought process. And I think it's far more effective and useful to presume that there's a reason why something happened and figure out how you can mitigate it in the future. I can't believe I have 3 capitals. I'm in a very good spot now. Despite the fact that the board position looks lousy, I have half the capitals without having to do anything. Oh boy, howdy. And also, folks, don't forget, we're doing a promo for the Risk Discord World Championships, Season 2, 2023. Here's the sign-up link. Here's the Discord link. If you're interested in competing with us, join the community, test your might against some of the best Risk players in the world. I know I would love to compete with you. It is so awesome for me to see that we had over 1,100 competitors last season. I would love to break that record. I don't expect we will, at least not without your help, folks. So get your butts in the seats. Sign up for the tournament. It'll be a blast. All right, our next question is from Bagel. Bagel says, I'm asking here in the normal Q&A to try and hide this a little longer, but I have over 50 questions in text document right now that I could ask you. Wow. Bagel is coming prepared. You're the best, Bagel, by the way. Would you rather I send this giant list in a Q&A chat to spend many minutes of your life answering my riddles, or potentially a reversal of the Waiting on Your Best Favorite podcast? Ooh. Would you like to come on the podcast, Bagel? Yeah. I'd love to have you. Sure. If you want to do it with me, you want to do the questions and answers live, I'm happy to do that with you. The podcast is back up and running, folks. Long time coming. Special guest will be recording on Friday. I won't spoil the surprise just yet, but I might later on in the week. I'm really looking forward to having this conversation, and I hope you guys will too. All right. And yeah, Bagel, do it. Do it. If that's how you want to do it as kind of like a pseudo interview show, that would be pretty cool. All right, our next question is from Horatio. Oh, back to me. I'm going to keep the one on you're all slightly stronger. Actually, no, I'm still at the phase where I need to keep them equal. Because I think purple might get wise and try and slam into one of my capitals. Because I've kind of like bisected them, right? They can't connect themselves. Purple's probably going to quit at some point, though. Because they've already lost the game. Okay. Our next question is from Horatio. If Reginald could answer one question, what would you ask him? Well, let's go right to the horse's mouth. Ladies and gentlemen. If Reginald Schmopus Boy Geech could answer one question, what would it be? What would you like to answer? When's my dinner? I believe is his most commonly asked question. And then what's your second one? Oh, he says, do you think people should sign up to the Risk World Championship Season 2 2023? Yes, all you motherfuckers better sign up or I will shit in your garden. Ha ha ha. We got the Reginald. We got the Malopus, man. He's a good boy. He's my best buddy. And that's your answer, Horatio. When's my dinner? Is the most frequently asked question from the mouth of this orange idiot. But I love you so, so much. You are my dream. You are everything I always wanted. I'm so blessed that you're in my life. What a lucky man I am. It was a lousy Reggie impersonation. What do you think he says? What do you think his question would be? That's a huge bit. Yeah. All right. 1, 2. 1, 2. Yeah. When Reggie's the fixed GM, is Gerald going to be the prog GM? Gerald is on a hiatus from playing Risk, folks. I don't know when he'll be back, but I will absolutely let you guys know. And we got more push-ups from Randell. All right, let's do that. Nice. Purple goes full suicide. Lovely. And we advance the game by another player. Top 4. I hold 3 capitals. Red's capital is super weak. Look at this. They're guarding Europe at the expense of giving green a line to take the 11 cap. And that's an oops. Don't do that. He's manualing. Oh, baby. Yellow's going to steal Red's cap. Yellow's going to get slammed into for that. Yeah, purple's upset. And we see a fortify. Interesting game. This game has not stalemated. Purple says, well played. Okay. Our next question is from Borat. I like. Pete, have you ever considered playing chess? Yes. Very nice. I like horde chess. So I'm not good enough. I'm not smart enough. It's gonna slam the Australia cap with 34, lose all your troops. Oh boy. And the other one too. Oh, he hits green as well. Red's dead. Red's gonna exhaust all of his material. Yes. Okay, Red's defeated, so we're in a 3-player game. Cool. He's just a horde chess GM. I wouldn't go that far. But I do enjoy horde chess. Our next question is from Dick Gobbler. Jesus Christ, I want to meet you unless you're not a female. Pete, do you consider your life to be in order / happy with where you're at? Yes. Do you strive for more? Yes. If so, what are those goals? What are my goals in life? And if not, in what areas in life do you think need to be improved? Interesting question, sir. Interesting question. Green takes second capital. Fortifies a bit to guard. I think I kill purple for 2 cards. And I don't break red because red's going to actually slam into... I want red to have the extra 8 troops because red's going to slam into yellow. That gives it to green though. That's fine. Doesn't matter if it does. Okay, I kill purple for those 3 cards. Or those 2 cards, rather. I'm going to intentionally let red have Europe because I want red to use extra troops to punch through the yellow capital, ending yellow's game and their own, and putting me into, oh shit, a 1v1 with green? Yeah, and then I get second. Yeah, well, actually I have more troops than green, incidentally. Well, we'll see how it plays. I'll be in a 1v1 with green. Green might fuck up. Deddy Dawes YKA71. Maybe he's good, maybe he's not. We'll find out. Okay, yellow can't break. Yellow's going to eat the suicide now. I'm predicting a full suicide by red. I should have my caps open. Full suicide by red might be good for me because then I can snag the Aussie cap, which will be very useful in the late game. If I can snag it for cheap, that would be great. Hey, Portal, first time catching the live stream. Welcome in, man. Watching on YouTube the past year. I used to live in Toronto. Helped a friend open a popular Mexican restaurant in Kensington called Seven Lives. Wondering if you've ever been to it or heard from it. I've been to a Mexican restaurant in Kensington, 1 or 2. Don't know what the name was. So maybe. Kensington's super cool, man. Are you a chef by trade? My sister is a chef by... Oh, he bought it. Damn it. Too bad. I was expecting the Sue. Too bad. Susu Studio. All right. Sorry, guys, that I can't maybe answer all of the questions in the Twitch chat. You are a chef. Awesome, man. Yeah, my sister... wait, different guy. KBF Sinner is a guy. Is a chef. I have to go through the... I would love to answer your questions, but I have to go through these questions because these questions have been waiting longer. Our next question... Okay, so Dick Gobbler would like to know, do I consider my life in order? Mostly, yes. I'm very high orderliness, so I hold myself to a very high standard vis-a-vis order. But short answer, yes. Do the reverse. I can force yellow to only get a card through the red 13, I suppose. Maybe green's going to do that for me. So is my happiness contingent upon being in order? Somewhat, yes. I find having my environment in order to be very important to me, and I find that I like being on track to my goals, to be where happiness is an emergent phenomenon of. Am I happy with where I'm at? Yeah, absolutely. I think being happy with where you are, also known as wanting what you have, is very important long-term. For our well-being as humans. Or yellow. You want a card? You got to hit a 13. I progressed the game. This game will end now. You want a card? You hit a 13. Does he do it? He's not. He's going to cap stack. Oh, cool. He's going to cap stack in Oz. All right. He's not an idiot. Our second question, or second half of the question is, do I strive for more? Yeah. If so, what are my goals? Okay. So my virtues, my values are time, freedom, peace, and joy. So I seek that. Meaning I already kind of have enough materially, right? I'm doing all right. Now, I've run a lot of businesses. I've worked very hard in my life to have enough. I actually gave myself mild scoliosis from working hard in my 20s. So I understand the value of effort. Am I happy with what I've achieved? Yeah. And more to the point, I am so overjoyed and blessed that I am able to now do work that is creative, which is very interesting for me to see that my true value in a monetary sense might not be administrative, but might actually be creative. That's fascinating. I can't get enough of this concept. So all that to say, what do I aspire to? I aspire to learn, now that I have found my voice, I aspire to learn how to speak wisely, to spread a message of love in this world. I mean, I'm in a pseudo 1v1. I feel like I was put on this earth to connect with other people, and this is such a strange way to find a connection, right? This virtual connection where I speak and you guys mostly listen. And that's why I'm very motivated to do the podcast. I'm very motivated to do the Q&A stuff because it really does allow for a discourse and a dialogue. And that's very important to me. What are my goals? Well, I would love it if my audience continued to grow, if my work continued to be successful, if I was able to make a full living doing that. I could completely give up all my other businesses and spend all of my time and all of my creative focus and all of my energy on this project. And that's where we've been going. I've been spending a ton of time on it over the years. And that doesn't seem to be waning. So no worries, guys. Don't you think I will ever give up? And I think I'm going to teach a little philosophy too on Free Pete. I'm going to start doing some React courses of some kind to share and help further the conversation that we find ourselves experiencing. There's a lot of confusion in the world, and I'm really motivated to do my part to help mitigate some of that, because I think some of the confusion is a consequence of complexity stacking on top of complexity. Society has become incredibly complicated, but some of it is bad design and some of it's intentional to distract you from the things that matter and distract you from the truth, which is that connecting with other people and showing love to them is the most important thing you could ever be doing with your life. That's kind of a message that I believe and want to spread. World is going downhill very fast. That's a matter of perspective that I don't share. I'm an optimist. KBF Sinner, I don't agree, frankly. There are things that are going downhill and there are things that are going uphill, and that's reality, right? Some good and some bad. But you're not wrong. There are some very important things that are going downhill, so we have to take care of ourselves. What are my goals? I think about it a lot, guys. I think about just speaking wisely, speaking truthfully. The responsibility that I have, that so many people would be willing to listen to me talk about anything, it's not lost on me, right? It's burdensome, but in the best way possible. You mentioned the moonlight. Were you serious about it being faked? No. Listen, in all honesty, I don't pretend to know that the story I'm being told is true. So my approach is more about probabilities, right? What are the odds that the story I'm being told is true? Depends on how much trust you have in society. And because I have had a experience in life that has led me to being mostly trusting, because I'm a winner in this, right? I'm a successful person, right? I'm not a loser. I'm not broke. I'm not sick. I don't need, the help. I'm not a victim. So because of that, I actually have high trust in society, and we can dig into this more, but this is now off topic. I think that's the big issue, right? Is that the have-nots in our society have a lot better argument to be mistrusting of authority because they've been fucked around their whole life and lied to. There you are. This is how I was taught and I stuck to it. It's not blind like that though, right? There's always, so for me, skepticism is another virtue. So there's always a small possibility, a small question of maybe, maybe there's a better model for reality, right? Maybe the model of reality that I've been operating on isn't comprehensive and correct, or rather, certainly the model of reality I've been operating on isn't comprehensive and correct. I am certainly wrong about almost everything, and as new information becomes available to me, I can incorporate that into a better model. So my beliefs are essentially in a quantum superposition. I love this metaphor. I came up with it on the weekend. Think about it that way. Some people really identify and associate with their beliefs. I am a conservative, or I am, you know, my race, or I am my gender identity, or I am XYZ characteristic. Cool. Good for you. God bless. But for me, I don't use the declarative level of identity, and I also don't pretend that I'm right. I think the truth, I hit that 7 before it blocks me off more, because it just keeps blocking me off, right? I hit the 7 to open up that. Nah, but that closes the cap too. It's a damned if you do, damned if you don't scenario. I'd rather it be. This could be good for green long term. It could be good for me long term. We'll figure out which one it is. I did lose my track though. What was the thought? The thought was it's quantum superposition of belief. The idea is that a belief is only true when examined and only until updated with new information. Simply put, that is probably a lot more than you thought I was going to get into, Dick Gobbler, but I hope you liked it. And what an awesome question and a name on Discord. Good job, sir. Our next question is from Modest Paste Content. Hey, Pete! What is your take on the following? Humanity didn't learn one thing, letting go. It can be a relationship, a loved one, wealth, climate change. We cannot let it go, even for the greater good. We do not need to go through some kind of process like mourning to be able to do it. That's not a question. And I don't understand. And I don't understand the comment. Hey, Pete, what is your take on the following? Humanity didn't learn one thing, letting it go. It can be a relationship. A loved one, wealth, climate change, we cannot let it go in for the greater good. We need to go through some kind of process like mourning to be able to do it. Does anyone in my chat understand this question? It's, first of all, I don't think it doesn't seem to me to be a question, so I don't know what he's trying to ask. That comment lost me? Yeah, it lost me too. I made this question a long time ago. Hey, Modest Paste! Okay, great, he's in the chat! Amazing! All right, reword, please. Ask your question. You have the floor, sir. What would you like to ask? Letting it go. How people deal with grief. Ooh, that's tough. Were you talking about grief? Hey, Rwand, how you doing, buddy? Rwand is here. That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, long-term green wins, but that's okay. We play these games for a second. Right, we're talking about complicated ideas, and surprise, surprise, the old Peteman isn't smart enough to do both, win complicated strategic games of Risk and talk philosophy, so we can only do one. Just throw it up here, Modest Paste, in the chat, and I will answer to the best of my ability. I absolutely promise you. Why not break Africa? Because I'm not actually trying to play a strategic game of fixed caps. I'm trying to focus almost all of my attention on answering the questions. I will happily let green win if he gives me second. And if he fucks up, maybe I take the win. Okay. AC Tinlegs would like to know, hey, Peteman, how did you start your landscaping company? What is your advice with financing and employees? Do you have a CPA? I'm just starting an excavating company. Just a moment. Starting an excavating company. What is your advice on growing the company as well? Thank you, sir. Okay, question number one. How did I start my landscaping company? I was in first year university. My buddy Jeff did not. One of the few people from my high school, I think less than 10% of the folks in my high school did not go to university, okay? So that's very odd demographically in general, and speaks to the type of rich area I grew up in. We were always kind of like the poorest family in the rich neighborhood, which is kind of ironic because like we did not grow up poor by any means, but it was relatively. So because almost everyone in my university because almost everyone in my high school went to university, but my buddy Jeff did not. He was sitting in my garage smoking weed one day, and he didn't have a job, and he was doing landscaping for these guys. And he had the bright idea. It's like, why don't we cut some grass this summer? And I'd been doing a couple summer jobs for a couple other businesses. I said, sure, I'll work with you. And then, so I started with a partner. We worked together for a summer. I felt very put upon, and I felt like the labor was not being fairly distributed. So I told him I wasn't going to work with him for a second summer. He somehow talked me into it. And by the middle of that second summer, we were not speaking together. We were working together, but we were not speaking to each other. So, the lesson I learned is I'm not temperamentally adjusted to partnerships. And then I worked for my ex-girlfriend's father's frame carpentry business in January and February in Toronto, hammering a house from scratch together. Think of standing on a second story that hasn't been built, so it's a 2-story drop to the foundation with no walls, and there was just freezing rain. So super dangerous. These guys do not get paid enough for what they do. Super hard work. Very proud of myself for doing it. Learned a lot about myself, about endurance, about having the energy required to wake up for 4 or 5 a.m., right? I hated every bit of that. In the winter, I hated every bit of that. And I said, never again. So I'm going to work really hard to never be poor enough to need to have to do that again, right? So I put 2 months worth of good money together. I did not finance. I bought all of my initial equipment. I bought a pickup truck. I put all the money I had saved in my entire life together. This was 2006, so I would have been 22 years old. So do I still smoke weed? A little bit. I don't hate on weed. It's just not really my flavor. I'm more of an alcohol guy. It's going to sit there with 15 stack, right? Do I just let green? Oh, cool. He card blocks me. Okay. He's going to try and steal that capital. Smart. Very smart. Okay. I like that. Well, I'll make you pay for it then. I'll make you pay for it. So what is my advice with financing? I mean, ideally, leverage the least amount you possibly can. Work and earn and grow and work. Like in my 3rd summer, we cut 183 lawns a week. Me and 2 guys, me and my buddy Esco and Phil. And I'll tell you, do the math on that. How many houses are you cutting a day with 183 a week? No kidding, I gave myself scoliosis. Okay, folks? I worked very hard in my life, and I am super proud of being able to do that and proving to myself that I am that kind of tough. Dude, where's my car? Where's my car, dude? That's a good one. Okay. Yeah, I mean, hey man, you want to roll my capital? You can roll my capital. I think I deserve second, but I think it is the prerogative of green to decide. What's my advice with employees? Okay, this will come off as cynical, but in my time with tradespeople in the lawn game, very, very, very few of them would I maintain any relationship with now. Okay? They were almost all terrible at their jobs, terrible people, and we ended our relationship badly. Almost exclusively, with a handful of exceptions. These guys were not worth the money. So my initial philosophy was pay them well, grow the business, trust them to do a good job, and it will pay you back. The problem with that logic is that, at least in Ontario, employment is broken. So the Human Rights Tribunal of Ontario is a loss mitigation kangaroo court bullshit system where employers are put upon to essentially redistribute their hard-earned dollars for the sake of these poor victims who can't even do a good enough job to mow a lawn. So all that to say, folks, I think be very careful with employees. Trust them as much as you can throw them and keep the business relationship separate. Do not allow your emotions or your personal relationship to involve with the circumstance, right? These people are not your friends, right? They say you keep them at arm's length for a reason. Do I have an accountant? Yes. I paid too much for my accountant. What's the story? What is a CPA? A chartered professional accountant, right? I'm just starting an excavating company. Good luck. What's my advice on growing it? I've said this before, but I'll say it again. My number one piece of advice for business is this. Say you're going to do something and then do exactly what you say you're going to do. And believe it or not, that will put you in the top 10% of businesses that exist. Simple and easy rule to follow, and you will see it not followed again and again and again. All right, we are getting back to modest paced content. I'm so excited to not skip your question and actually get into the nitty-gritty of giving up. So, let's see where I can read this. Grief and also societal optimism. For example, I would also like to think that we have the tools to solve climate change. I believe we do. And global inequities, that's harder. So climate change is a technical problem. Global inequalities are a social problem. So human beings are very good at solving technical problems because we are inventors. We create things that don't exist. We are piss poor at equitable distribution because we are greedy and fearful and loss averse. So we tend to prioritize our family, our friends, our dollars over being generous to others, to a fault, I would say. And we need to design better systems of fairness and distribution in order to protect ourselves from the lesser angels of our nature. All right, how do I get these? Is that it? Modest paced? It sounds like modest paced content is asking whether or not you think humanity has learned to let things in general go through a process of mourning or grief. He says, grief and also societal optimism. We have the tools to solve climate change and global inequalities. But the narrative relating to my question is, there's great wealth inequality. Huge problem. Huge problem. I understand giving that directly to the poor because this fast solution won't solve anything. People couldn't handle it. Right. But it feels like there's no motivation for them to find a solution. But I was thinking, if I would get rich, when would I draw the line of regenerating my own wealth and giving it back to the world? Because I also understand you need to generate some wealth to be able to do good. Brilliant. Yeah. 100% correct. Here's where I take your question. Okay. The world almost needs an economic George Washington. So why is George Washington thought of as historically significant? Well, throughout history, throughout the types of revolutions that occurred, what inevitably would happen is the new military leader, George Washington, was a general who led the American Revolution in their freedom from the shackles of the British. What would inevitably happen is they would then install themselves as king. And there was a movement at the time to install George Washington as king of the new United States of America, because that's all they knew. But by some strange dint of history, by some miracle, what ended up happening is the Americans formed a democracy, which formed the model for all democracies that have come since, essentially. And George Washington voluntarily giving up power after he, I think he actually died in office. Did he die in office? You Americans would know better than me. You're not really familiar with American history. Awesome. Well, perfect. So the reason I'm using George Washington is more metaphorical. So the economic George Washington would be Bill Gates or Warren Buffett or Elon Musk, someone of insane wealth, giving it all back to society and saying, I choose to redistribute all of my success and luck that this world has given me for the betterment of all. And this segues nicely, folks, into a philosopher that I want to talk about more publicly, and we're going to also be doing that on Free Pete, okay? And his name is Peter Joseph. He's a filmmaker. He's a structuralist, I suppose, and he is the creator of the Zeitgeist films, the Zeitgeist movement, and currently of the what's it called? New Human Rights Movement podcast. Okay, so I'm going to my plan is I'm going to start doing a philosophy course on the work of Peter Joseph. I think he is probably the most important living philosopher in terms of societal philosophy. And I have a philosophy forum on my Discord. Come on down to the KPS Strategy Discord. Check out the philosophy forums. I'm going to be teaching this course in video form, in sort of React form, and then we'll use the forum as a way to do Q&A in regards to this topic. Okay? So the prerequisite for the Peter Joseph course is we will watch the Zeitgeist films together. We'll talk about them, and then we will go through the New Human Rights Movement podcast. Dudes, nobody wants that. We'll go through the New Human Rights Movement podcast piece by piece. And that's something that I feel called to do now because I'm at the stage where, as fun as it is for me to do risk content, and as interesting as it is for me to do these Q&As and everything else that I've been learning and connecting with you guys, I don't feel like I am yet fully leveraging part of what I could offer in terms of value, which is talking about philosophy. So, great question, dude. Thank you so much. I hope I got there with you. I want to talk about systems redesign, basically, which is such a taboo topic for no real reason other than the fact that we are enslaved and we don't know it. Well, I mean, I know it, but it's not a lament. There's hope. And the hope is we are brilliant humanity. We are absolutely creative geniuses. We harness the power, the creative potential of God to create things that don't exist. It's nothing short of a miracle how we survive as animals, as apes that have figured out how to mold the entire environment to suit their bodies. It's miraculous. And I think we don't recognize how special and amazing we are in being able to do that. And yeah, the other side of the coin is we are very, very shit at spreading the wealth equally. Very shit. The fact that a single human being is starving in the entire world in 2023 should make every single person alive disgusted. Absolutely disgusted. And slam. Aw, don't steal my cap. Don't give it to Yellow. You suck. I didn't break this man and he fucking doesn't give me second. What a douche. I get third. Yep. What a douche. Do you think 9/11 was an inside job? Wait till you see that bit of the film. Poop face. We'll talk about it together. All right. Our next question is from Pixie. Pete. you think that Risk should add a bonus timer for the first turn, or you think the first turn being rushed part of the game? Being rushed is part of the game. You have an advantage going first, too. So a little bit of clock mitigating that is fair. Our next question is from Glug. Hey, Pete, where's the name of your podcast coming from? We answered that one already, Glug. It comes from the song Everybody Wants to Rule the World by Tears for Fears. Our next question is from Mike Vaff. Hey, Pete, I'm a beginner. 30 to 35 hours played. Welcome to the community, Mike. Should I focus on one map specifically, or should I play all maps? People ask, should I do this? Should I do that? The answer to that question is always, what is fun for you? Okay? What do you enjoy playing? You enjoy improving? Then yeah, focus on something and iterate. Do you enjoy experiencing new modes and settings? Then try different maps and stuff. It's all up to you. It's a beautiful game. There's tons of variety. There's lots to learn. Hey, we got a response from Modest Pace. Okay. OMG, Pete, that's exactly what I need today to calm down the storm inside of me. I also want to create. It is the most meaningful life a human can achieve. Philosophy sounds good. I don't know if I have time for it, though. Let me recommend the series The Good Place. If you don't have time for it, I'm recommending TV. I can't help you with that, sir. I can't help you with that. I create TV. I don't really watch very much of it anymore. All right, this game is almost over. Do we see green? Give me second. I have more troops. We'll see. Kind of an oxymoron. No, I'm just a moron. Minus the oxy part. I'm just a moron. Our next question is from Forrest Pants. Hey, Pete. I often find myself wanting or having time for a shorter risk game, let's say 30 minutes. What maps and settings would you recommend at the same time to also allow for leveraging a skill gap? What am I known for, folks? Free-for-all progressive. You play free-for-all progressive World Dom, you'll get those games in, on most maps, you'll get those games in 20, 25, 30 minutes. I love free-for-all progressive. I'm passionate about free-for-all progressive. I cut my teeth on it. Super fun for me. And it's really nice too to have a risk game that doesn't go forever. Current settings notwithstanding. All right, our next question is from Drew to Bomb 42. Drew is to Bomb. Hey Pete, just curious, what got you into majoring philosophy when you were in college? Is that what you wanted to do as a freshman? Yes. Or did it change over the course of your studying? No. I'm a political science major. Poor you. And know that if I don't pursue higher education past undergrad like law school, poor you, the degree will be mostly pointless and would entitle me to little more than my current job at McDonald's. Philosophy being in a similar situation. Yes, philosophy does qualify me to mow lawns. It also, however, qualifies me to talk about interesting subjects on the internet, which is no small surprise to me. I'm curious what your thoughts were on majoring in something that would not guarantee any type of job security. What did you think about it when you were studying? What do you think about it now that it's been some time since getting your degree? Did your parents have any input on this? Thanks for taking the time to answer. Hope you're doing good on this fine day. I hope you're doing good too, Drew. So the question is, was philosophy something I always wanted to do? Yes. My mind has always worked like this. It has been the only subject that ever interested me. So what I ended up doing when I went to university was I did 2 years of a honors Bachelor of Arts in philosophy at the University of Toronto. And then I kind of had this chronic depression and I needed to make some money and I was working with a partner that I hated, starting a business that I hated. So basically I dropped out. And then I worked, at a different business for a while. And I finally came to the conclusion that I might as well finish my degree. So I went back to York University and did 2 winters to finish a 3-year downgraded Bachelor of Arts, not honors Bachelor of Arts. So I have a 3-year degree, finished at York University. And when I transferred, they gave me a ton of credits. And those credits, I was able to take a bunch of first-year courses. And I took, believe it or not, mostly elective philosophy stuff. Like a bunch of easy courses and a bunch of elective philosophy stuff because it was the only thing that interested me at the time. U of T, I'm from Ontario. Yeah, I'm a Toronto person. How are you doing? Cool Con? Welcome to the chat, man. I grew up in Thornhill, and I currently live in Toronto. The thing. Okay, next question. It's like a 5-question question. You're worried about your degree being pointless. So here's the thing: why would I spend the money to finish my degree, despite the fact that there's no point? That I can't get a job with it. Well, it turns out that I think learning how to think is actually a far more important skill than working for other people, right? I've always been entrepreneurial. My personality type is very well suited to being an entrepreneur, right? Because I am both creative and industrious. I work hard when I need to, not always, but when I need to, I work hard. So what that results in is a person who can create things when needed, but also can manage things well enough to eat. And I love entrepreneurship because I love having my successes and my failures being my own. So, I never really expected to use my degree, and the last thing I would ever think to do at the time, and even less so now, would be to be a lawyer. Because I think almost all of those people, with the exception of few, but almost all of those people live somewhat morally reprehensible lives from my perspective. And I understand that that is a ridiculously stupid and oversimplified thing, and we're not going to get into that debate. Job security. Yeah, I create my own jobs, and I always have. What do you think about it when I was studying? Did my parents have any input on this? No. My parents have been extremely hands-off with guiding my decision making, right? My parents' approach was, we love you, you are our crowning achievement, and whatever you decide, right? My parents are big freedom people. So they let me and my sisters have the freedom to do whatever we wanted. For better or worse, right? There's good in that and there's bad in that. My father was a philosophy teacher in high school, so the apple doesn't fall far from the tree in that regard. Okay, he's setting up to kill. Great. Definitely don't take a card. And he gives me second. I'll take that. Okay. Thanks for taking the time to answer. You're welcome. How do I answer your holistic question? So you're a young man in school wondering about the merits of his degree. It took me so long to figure out where I fit in this world. Which is why I think you guys hear the common refrain of, I feel so incredibly blessed that you are here with me, interested in listening to what I have to say and willing to spend this time with me. Okay? If he fucks up, I could do a cap run. Yeah, I hope he fucks up. Doesn't look like he will, though. Looks like he's going to win this game, which is fine. I always felt like a weirdo. I always felt like an outsider. Yeah, he's twice my troops. I'm toast. And like, just the way the cookie crumbles, man. Magic of the internet, right? Find your voice, find your tribe. Here we are. You guys choose to spend time with me and you choose to support my work. Wow. Like, thank you. Thank you so fucking much. It absolutely blows my mind, right? Wow. That's awesome. Now let's try and win this game. Can't do it. Can't hit that.
Maybe I split off too much. Maybe he just has too much material. Let's taste the counterattack. 317 to 147, 0 chance of victory. All he has to do to beat me is fortify out his 220. 0% chance to win, but I won't give up trying. And the cap was too much, the way too much. Yeah, exactly. I really have to wait for this guy to totally fuck up for me to lose. And I don't think he will. I think he's good enough. He played it quite well. He took his time. I'm glad he gave me second, right? We don't need the firsts on these, right? It's much more valuable for me to relax and spend time talking to you than it is to get the W, which is the one and only time you're going to ever hear me say that, right? I'm such a fucking tryhard with these games. Yeah, and then there's no way back around. I can just yield here, I think. Does he fortify? Fortifies the 200 off to the 1 cap. Card blocks me. Sick. Even better. Well played. Yeah, I lose. I will surrender gracefully. There you have it. Great question, Drew. Great question. I love talking about philosophy, and I love talking about why I love philosophy. It's been a huge part of my life. As I said, my mind just works this way. It always goes to the root of the logic, which is a level that most people don't operate on because for them it seems like work. And for me, it's like the natural thing. What books do I recommend for entering philosophy? Whatever you like, right? It's philosophy is such a broad topic, right? Philosophy is the mother discipline. All other disciplines descend from it. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. There was what do we got? We got defeated by a master and defeating 3 beginners and expert. Awesome. So what we're going to do now, we're going to do a react to Bagel had a question, and it was a video. He said, I was wondering if you'd react to this video as it is tangentially related to everyone voting via smartphones. Bagel, I trust you. I'm going to throw this on live. And we'll see.
Numbers on the number
How long is it?
The principle of
transitivity. It's 8 minutes. Let's go.
Transitivity. If A is greater than B and B is greater than C, then we know A is also greater than C. While this intuitive property holds true for numbers, it doesn't hold true for everything. Let's take a look at voting in a democracy, for example. Imagine that in a democratic society, citizens are voting on what policy to make into law.
Yep.
One voter likes policy A, has policy B as a second choice, and dislikes policy C. Another voter prefers policy B, then policy C, then policy A, and a third voter prefers policy C, then policy A, then policy B. If there were a vote between policies A and B, policy A would win, since 2 of the 3 voters prefer policy A. If there were a vote between policies B and C, policy B would win. So A is preferred over B, and B is preferred over C.
Yeah, system design problem.
You might think transitively that A should be preferred over C.
Yeah, no,
but
clearly
if there
not.
were a vote between policies A and C, policy C would actually win. So voter preferences in general don't follow the rules of transitivity.
All right, so what's the problem?
This creates an interesting dilemma.
All right.
Imagine policy C were the current policy in our society, and we held a vote on whether to switch to policy A. Based on voter preferences, we wouldn't switch. Our society thinks policy C is better than policy A. But if we first vote on switching to policy B, and then vote on switching to policy A afterwards, our society will first switch from policy C to policy B, and then
again, this is just a systems design
A.
problem though.
And there's the key problem for our democracy. Manipulation of the agenda.
Okay.
The policies we vote on.
I'll watch the rest. I'm not going to end the thing, but this is the react you wanted, Bagel. This is a straw man. This entire video is a straw man argument. Okay. In order to properly design a system where you actually enfranchise voters to vote on things, one of the most important things you need to consider is the design of what they are voting on. Right? Currently, we exist in a system where we vote on a person to represent us who can't represent us and absolutely can represent themselves, so that they vote themselves raises and get rich and make sure their job continues to exist. So the design of the future system would have to be one that allows for continual updating. Yeah, exactly. Mr. Dreamer, the system isn't static. The system is fluid. It's designed to change. Exactly. Yes. We need to have something, take money out of politics. Yes. We need to have something that is constantly adaptive. Let's continue.
Can completely change which policy we end up with. With one agenda, we stuck with policy C over policy A.
Yep.
With another agenda, we switched.
This guy's going too
policy
slowly.
A. With the help of some math, we can explore the implications of this further. To do this, we need a way to represent policies numerically. Policies like
Okay, now he's
budgets,
going to
healthcare
use
policies,
logical
and the law
notation.
consist of multiple components. In a budget, for example, you might spend some amount on one program and some other amount on another program.
Mm-hmm.
So we can plot those components in space, each component on its own axis. A policy, then, is represented by a single point in that space. A policy that spends more on one particular program, for instance, might be represented as a policy that's shifted to the right along some axis. Let's also imagine that every voter has some ideal policy, some point in this space that would be their most preferred policy.
Mm-hmm.
This gives us a way to represent voters' preferences. Here, we assume that a voter will always prefer a policy that is geometrically closer to them than a policy that is further away. Given two policies, when a voter decides
Like
which to
Pimentel.
support, the voter can measure the distance between themselves and each policy and choose the policy that's the shorter distance away. After all, that's the policy that's closer to the voter's true ideal. With that setup in mind, we can now see how a series of well-chosen votes can produce a particularly undesirable outcome. Here's a society with 5 voters, each of which is at some
presupposing that the system isn't constantly adaptive.
Ideal policy. We'll represent the current policy of this society in blue. Right now, the current policy seems pretty good, and seems a reasonable compromise between what everyone wants. Now imagine we want this alternative policy, colored in red, passed into law. It's far away from the voters, so it seems like there'd be no way voters would ever choose the red policy over the current policy. Yet, with our knowledge of the power of agenda setting, we can find a way. The goal is to propose one alternative after another that a majority of citizens will vote for, and somehow we ultimately want to convince voters to support a policy that seems much worse. With 5 voters, the key idea will be this. Each time we propose a new policy, we'll make it slightly better for 3 of them, a majority, but much worse for the other 2. How will we choose that policy?
This is such a straw man.
A voter will vote for a new policy if it's geometrically closer to them than the current policy.
No, I don't think so. Bagel is actually, as far as I can tell by his questions, Bagel is actually just a very earnest, curious person. So I don't know why he's super interested in listening to what my opinions are, but so far I can tell you that this video seems to be refuting something that is an obvious non-starter.
At any voter, with the current policy sitting along the edge of that circle, all policies that are more preferable than the current policy must be inside that circle. So we can say that a voter will vote for any policy as long as it's inside of their circle. So let's pick 3 voters and draw circles around them. The overlap between these 3 circles is the region inside all 3 circles. In other words, it represents the policies that these 3 voters will all prefer.
Yes.
We can now pick a point in that region that's slightly better for these 3 voters, but much worse for the other 2. Now we repeat this process.
I wish Bagel was here.
3 voters and draw their circles. The overlap region represents the policies these 3 would prefer, and we pick a policy that's slightly better for these 3, but much worse for the other 2. And now we repeat again. Each time we propose a new alternative, a majority of voters will find it better than the current policy, so the alternative will always win. But because voters who oppose the policy are always hurt more than voters who support the policy are helped, by repeating this process long enough, we can get a policy further and further away from the voters' true preferences. repeating this enough times, we'll eventually find a policy so far removed
That
from
doesn't
voter
satisfy
preferences
anyone.
that everyone would prefer the red policy.
Yeah, that
By
doesn't
playing
satisfy
voters
anyone.
against each other,
Right.
we, the agenda setters, have caused them to agree on a policy that's much worse for everyone than the policy they began with.
Yes.
We did this
Bad
with
system.
5 voters in a 2-dimensional space, but this principle works for more voters and more dimensions too. There are rare cases where voters perfectly align, such that there's a median policy that won't be voted against, but even the slightest deviation from this perfect alignment, and it always becomes possible to construct some agenda to get any policy passed. Of course, the world doesn't work precisely this way. Policies aren't points in space, and voters don't necessarily blindly vote for whatever policy is closest to their views. But even so, sometimes a model of the world, even if imperfect, can bring about useful insights. And here, the takeaway is the power of the agenda setter, and how it can rival the combined power of voters who only look out for their own interests.
The power of the
But
agenda
that power
setter.
can
That's a
break
great
down.
point.
If we are citizens in this geometric world, we have a way to stop the agenda setter's plan
Mm.
by cooperating with each other and
Yes.
agreeing not to vote for marginal gains for ourselves
Yes.
when it means making others in our society much worse.
Great message.
That
I
means
do
our
like the
vote
ending.
Can't always be whatever policy is closest to what's ideal for us individually. We have to take into account others in our society and what their preferences are too.
Yes.
But if we can do so, in this world at least, the policies we end up with will likely be better for everyone.
Okay, so I like how he ended it. Do you see how the argument he made is kind of a straw man? It doesn't actually refer to a real life. It's like if you design your future system of enfranchised voting poorly, yes, you'll have bad outcomes, but that's incumbent upon the systems designers, which is why I'm so interested in talking about systems design. And here we are, folks. Okay, that is the end of the Q&A show. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe to Free Pete if you're interested in more philosophical musings, anything and everything creative I feel like creating for you guys. Kill Pete Strategy Discord Q&A, Risk News Week in Review, waiting on your best behavior podcast, GeoGuessr, daily challenge videos, everything and anything in between. Thank you for watching, folks. Stick around on Twitch, but we're done on YouTube. And for all of you on the path to world domination, good games and good luck.